Tango 1 at the top. We are at Pop-Up Vehicle. 10-4, Tango 1. You have control. Tango 1 copy. Stand by. Stand by.
Integrity, passion, resilience. That's what this place was built on. That's what our community is founded on. Don't act like the example, just be the example. This is the home of the greatest fitness community in the world. We're trying to create strong, able bodies, resilient to injury with a gas tank to get shit done. If there's one thing from this podcast, it's about taking immediate action, find the problem, fix the problem. This is your opportunity. It's either a hell yes or a fuck no. It's that simple. You're doing that. The Tango 1 podcast. Now is the time to take action. Now's the time to do more and be more.
Welcome to the Tango 1 podcast. I'm your host, Tony Smith. It's been a while, but we've been waiting. I've been waiting to get things back in order, make sure everything was aligned and ready to go so we could roll out a 2022's amazing content. So today I'm going to start things off with something unusual, something in the first time in 70 episodes. I'm going to be recording this one alone. The motivation for this episode comes from the current situation. So I feel like in Canada here in particular, and much of the world, we are under some very, very poor leadership. The leadership, we're just coming off of this week as I record this episode, the Freedom Convoy, which just occurred in, Ottawa, where hundreds of thousands of trucks, lined the streets and blocked in this to express their frustration with the current mandates that are going on in Canada. And our fearless prime minister was nowhere to be found. The way that he addressed the community, the way that he addressed our people was just completely unacceptable and the perfect example of how not to lead under stress. I am not saying that Trudeau needs to obey the Freedom Convoy. I hope he does, obviously. But I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you need to address the problem. You need to not run from the problem. You need to speak about it. So what I'm going to bring to you today is it's a presentation. It's a form of a presentation that I used to work on, that I used to give to tactical team leaders across Ontario, across Canada, really, and even into the US. And I've just kind of made it more into, for hopefully you get some value. I know you will get some value from this, because leading a tactical team, leading a team at your business, leading your family, leading your friend group, it all comes down to the same principles. I was a leader for many, many years with the SWAT team, testing some of these things, some of these theories, I guess, that I'm going to present to you under some of the most dire situations possible. I have now applied them. I've learned from so many mentors and so many coaches. I didn't just make this stuff up. And through my own experiences, through thousands of tactical operations, through running the garage gym business, through raising money for charities and organizing, 30, 40 gyms from competing gyms from across the Windsor Essex area to come together and raise hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for charity. And then learning a ton over the COVID closures and how to keep, 250 members engaged and working towards the same goal, which is self-development, self-betterment. I want you to understand the culture that we've built here at the Garage Gym. And that culture came from all these same lessons. Yesterday, Corey Voltaggio, the great Corey, you guys have all heard him on the podcast. He left his incredibly secure job at Atlas Tube to join the Garage Gym team full-time at the end of a pandemic, one day after we were allowed to be open, which is, I say allowed with my quotations for those that can't see me, because we obviously stayed open and did what we had to do for our people. But Corey joined us leaving that because he believes so wholeheartedly in the impact we're making. My point being is we've created a culture here that is about, the impact. It's about the mission. It's about our purpose. It's not about the salary. And we've had Nikki Poltridge leave her secure job. Danny and I clearly left our secure jobs. Joe, our new salesman, our new head trainer, he left his job for us. Steph left her banking job and management to come and work for us. The list goes on and on. And that is the kind of impact. That's the kind of belief in the mission that you need to create if you want to lead your team, if you want to lead the people around you at work, if you want to lead your family. They must feel protected. They must feel that they're in the right hands, that they must feel that they are heard, and they must feel that they are listened to, right? And everything that they say, it doesn't mean this is a democracy around the garage gym. What that means is that everything is heard and everything is considered, and then decisions are made for the best of the entire organization. Give me 1 second. I'm going to clear my throat here. We're going to get rolling. First of all, the Tango One podcast is sponsored by Murray Insurance in Kingsville, Ontario. Feel free to get a hold of them. You can go to the Murray Insurance on Instagram or Facebook. Ian and Kara have the goods, man. They are everything that we have come to learn at the garage gym, all the great things that make us great here. They run their business by the same standards. They're constantly giving back to the community, and they are a one-stop shop for everything you need, whether it's home, auto, or all other kinds of insurances. So get a hold of Team Murray Insurance, and you can reach them through Instagram or Facebook. So let's get into it. Leadership is the problem. Leadership is the solution. You always got to remember that. If you are the leader, leadership is the problem. Leadership is the solution. And that is, you've heard Jocko Willink talk about that thing in his books, Extreme Ownership. That's a great example if you're looking for some great reads on how to become a better leader. I don't believe leadership is a skill that you're just, I do believe it's a skill that you can improve upon, that you can learn. I also believe it's something that you're born with through watching others, but you need to improve upon it every single day. I don't make all the right decisions. I don't make all the leadership decisions. And, recognizing that, having the self-awareness to do so is so, so important. So take some of these lessons that I'm going to share with you here and try to apply them. Exceptional leaders. I think the number one thing, exceptional leaders, and this is where, Trudeau is going wrong. Exceptional leaders is not, doesn't come from your authority. It doesn't come from your position. It comes from interaction. So exceptional leaders have influence, which is derived from the interaction, right? They have a person-to-person power because they can exert their influence in any directions. Influence comes from commitment, desire, ability to inspire and collaborate with your followers. And that's where we're missing the boat right now here in Canada. So think about how you can apply that to your family. Leaders do the right thing, right? Rank can help, but is not the basis of your power. Your power comes from person-to-person interaction and influence, right? Leaders know their team, right? Their family, their passions. They know their spouses, their children. And yes, it's impossible for the prime minister to understand that, to know everybody in the whole country, as small as Canada is. But he clearly, from the things he's saying, has no perspective on anybody's position who is not 100% in line with his mission, with his plan, with how he wants this to go, right? Saying it's a fringe minority of people who are wanting freedom, who do not want mandates. And these are people that are all racist or anti-vax. That's not the case. You've got 2 million people that showed up in the Capitol. And I can tell you that not every one of those people are bad people. He's very, very out of touch. Do not make those same mistakes. When it comes down to leadership, I've always loved a tactical approach to handling problems, right? And one of the things that we do is, immediate action planning, right? How do we handle this now with what we've got? What is the best means of handling the situation I'm presented with right now with what we got? When we closed for COVID, the very first time, it was, how can we handle what we have to do now? And then what is our deliberate action plan? So immediate action plan is, we've got this limited resources. We've got this. Something has to happen now. How can we do it? And then on a bigger scale, what's our deliberate action plan? In a perfect world, on our terms, how can we handle this situation, right? We want to create and maintain advantage. Always look to improve, right? We need belief in the mission from the team members. And leadership. Leadership is about being beside them in battle, in front of them during defeat, taking the blame, taking ownership, taking accountability. Leadership is the problem. Leadership is the solution. So being in front of them during defeat and behind them in victory. So in victory, actually giving the accolades, the congratulations to the team that handled all these problems, right? Perspective, 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 and then make decisions. Indecision is the worst decision. It's always the worst decision. Make a decision and then look to make a better decision right after that. But make decisions. When you're presented with problems, you're presented with a situation, your team is looking for you. If you do not make a decision, you will lose them. I am telling you 100%. I've seen this in the police service over and over again. People who get the paralysis by analysis or who are just too scared to make the wrong decision will lose the respect of the troops. A couple other things I've learned is when I was the tactical team leader, my gun, unfortunately, because it's not so cool and exciting, the better I got at leading, the more experience I got at leading, especially, my gun stayed in my holster. My job was the plan, the vision, keeping my guys comfortable, making sure they were thinking. And if I had my gun out, if I was looking down the sights of my barrel, I was only seeing what was in my sights. By putting my gun away and trusting my guys to do that job, I'm able to now look at the overall picture, the offensive coordinator, so to say, the guy up in the booth overlooking the football game. That's more what you want to be as a leader. Yes, I am capable of stepping in and filling a role. We enter a house, I encounter something that's not being covered. I don't leave it uncovered. I cover it. I hold on that target. I hold on that bad guy. I hold on that angle that's not covered until one of my guys sees me and recognizes like, hey, that leader needs to be seeing things. So I'm going to tap him on the shoulder, take his spot, and now I can go back to leading. And that's the kind of situation you want to improve, is like you don't, as the leader, walk by the full garbage can, right? You empty the garbage can. You empty the garbage can, you find out why is the garbage can stop being empty. And that seems like such a simple thing, but it is actual truth. You break it down to small problems, simplify, you're going to have like a much easier answers, right? And then we want to debrief. We always want to look to improve, create tactical advantage, and then we want to debrief after the call or the situation is over. You know, the Patriots, they're not going to the Super Bowl this year, right? But Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and all those great years of that 20-year run those guys had together, they weren't happy just winning, right? They don't just look at it as a win. They want to know why they didn't score on that next touchdown, why they didn't, why they left some points on the board here. Why was there a turnover here? Why was this play incomplete? And here at the Garage Gym, we do that very, very much. We debrief everything, even the smallest little projects that we work on. We debrief them. Why did this work? Why did that work? Why didn't this work? You can learn so much from, like, a lot of people really focus on what didn't work. One of the things we do around here is we spend just a very little time talking about what didn't work, and then we just never do it again because it didn't work. We spend a ton of time looking at what we did well and what did work, because that's where I want to drive my attention, because that's where the success, the needle is going to continue to go up. And you need to be ready when opportunity presents itself. You have to be ready. Like I always say, you never know the difference between opportunity and distraction, right? And that is a hard thing in business. But when a real good opportunity presents itself, you need to have, and again, it comes down to making decisions and moving forward, taking action immediately. Be ready, take advantage of opportunities, and go for it. Go for it. When you missed opportunities, that tactical advantages presents itself for a glimpse of hope, right? Somebody steps out on that porch, and we have that as the one opportunity we might have in an 8-hour standoff to deliver the taser or to, even tackle the guy so that he doesn't get back inside where their hostages are. Be ready to take advantage of opportunities as they come. Now, rank and structure. Let's talk rank and structures. We want to create leaders at all levels. Create leaders at all levels. When I first moved onto the TAC team, I think that's where we were kind of old school, and we used to dictate, you, Tony, you're going to go right. Murph, you're going to go left. You're going to go right. You're going to go left. Well, when a mistake would happen, the next guy would continue to fumble the ball, right? Because one guy would go right and the next guy was supposed to go right. Now 2 guys went right. So now it's been 2 bodies since anybody went left. Now I know that might be hard to picture, but covering those angles and now, emphasizing that problem and layering onto that problem is not where we want to go. We want to make it so that everybody here has the ability to think. And when we really, really started run raids super effectively, that's what we started to do, is that I want you to look at the situation when that door opens and you make a decision on where you should go and why, and make that happen. And then the next guy makes his decision based off what he sees you do and what he sees in front of him. And I'm sorry, I keep saying him, it's a new age world, but when I worked there, it was just dudes, right? So I keep saying him, so don't get all over me for that. That's not the kind of podcast we run here, right? So find the problem, fix the problem. If you have a whole team of leaders, you have a whole team of people trying to find the problem and fix the problem. That is a solution-based mindset, instead of a bunch of fucking whiners. You want people who are going to be like, hey, the garbage isn't getting emptied. Here's why, and here's what we're going to do to fix it. But that, again, seems like such a minor thing. But if we're looking at every situation you encounter in business, and your people are looking not just to identify problems, they're looking to fix them. A solution-based mindset is going to be so much more positive, so much more impact, and so much more good. The vibrations will be so freaking amazing around your team, is that everybody's always trying to win. Everybody's always trying to improve the team to move towards that mission, right? Complete belief in the mission, leaders at all levels, find the problem and fix the problem. Now, me personally, as a leader, one thing I struggled with at the start, and I shouldn't have, because I should have realized that this was even me, is embrace the young lion. So when you hire somebody, you get somebody new on your team that wants to kind of challenge you, that wants to take more of a leadership role, embrace that as your opportunity to level yourself up and your opportunity to take that passion, that drive that young lion is displaying, and turn that energy into something special. I struggled with that on the team. And then I struggled with that, when Casey first got here, it was, we butted heads a lot. And then I started to, get my head back around it and really have the self-awareness to understand that, this is a good thing. Him challenging me in the meetings is a good thing. It's keeping me on my toes. It's making me look for solutions. It's making me think deeper, to look more into my answers instead of just saying, this is how it is going to be. Embrace that young lion and give them everything you can, right? Know when to let them run, and then know when to pull back those reins. I had an old sergeant, Kyle. He's one of my favorite guys. He was a Gold Glove boxer, one of the toughest men I ever met, but is super intelligent, man. I'm very, very well fought. And he used to come into our tactical team room and he would say, we want this place to be like Survivor Island. Never be comfortable. Always be working hard, because you don't want to be the one voted off. Every single time you come in here, act like you could be voted off. And man, that is the one amazing way to carry your team. If everybody's on there like Survivor Island, trying to keep the water boiling, the food cooking, keep camp clean, and not be the one who messes up a challenge, man, how fucking amazing. How strong can you operate? And if your family acts like that, how much happier you're going to be. If you have a bunch of family of leaders, people looking for problems within the household and trying to fix them, you are going to be able to dominate your relationships, to dominate life. Now, own the room. This is where your health and fitness, I can sugarcoat this for you, but it's bullshit. The way that you appear, your presence is your first level of force. Okay. Your presence as a cop. So if any first responders are listening, your presence is your first level of force. That's how do you fit in that uniform? Are you put together? Are you cleaned up? Do you look presentable and respectable? Are you fit? Now, for moms, for dads, for people who run businesses, that is the exact same thing. And you're not looking to apply a level of force, but you are looking to apply a level of influence. If you're an unmade bed, if you've let yourself go, if you're sloppy or unhealthy, that's your first level of influence that you have when you walk into this room. So get your shit together, clean yourself up, start eating right, get yourself in shape so that when you walk into the room, you command respect. Command respect through the way you carry yourself, through your body language, through how you groom yourself, through how you hold yourself fit and content and happy. People see that and they will start to feed off of it one way or another. A warrior knows how to behave in not just when in a fight, but a warrior knows how to behave when in a fight, but a leader knows how to behave just as well when you're not in one. Remember that. Behave properly. Behave how you'd want people to behave. One little trick that I like to use, and I use this around the gym constantly. I don't just view my team, like the 8, 9, 10 people that work for us here, as my team. I view the entire garage gym membership as part of my team. And I want them all to have incredible belief in our mission, which means explaining what's going on, presenting with the problems, having hard conversations, being vulnerable, saying like, hey, I messed up, or hey, I need your help here. There is so much that goes into that. And then the feedback that we get from it is amazing. Another thing is people love contact. Okay. We are like pack animals, right? So when I walk around, when I come into this gym, like even if I'm in here for just 10 minutes, I go around, I put my hand on every person's shoulder that I can, or I fist bump. I want to make not just contact and eye contact and some conversation with people. I want to also make physical contact with the person. Let them know that I care and that I am there, right? Pat them on the back. Good job. Hey, great to see you today. With a hand on the shoulder, you should see like people light up. They're just not used to that. And people long for that. That is part of, human nature. That's part of what's instinctive or innate inside of us. Self-accountability, right? Expectation to make it better. Constantly looking to make this place 1% better every single day. And that carries over to my team. It carries over to the people who are in the gym, who are constantly looking. They don't, it's like, don't come to me with just a problem. And the people in the gym know that too. Come with me with a solution. What do you think I understand that's the problem. That's the problem that you're seeing. What do you think I should do about it? Right. So open discussions, right? Always open discussions. And like I said, it's not a democracy. At the end of the day, the decision is mine. And I'm going to make it for the best of the entire organization, the entire team. A plan is nothing without execution, right? So you can have this amazing playbook, but if you don't have the players to execute it, what are you going to do? So you make sure that your team is built not just around, right? You need to build your playbook around the players that you have. And I can tell you in small business, we do not actually hire based off of experience, okay, or education. We hire off of our values. That is the first and primary. I would rather hire the pizza guy who has a love for fitness and is great with people and loves to smile and work hard than I would to get the guy from Good Life who doesn't smile, who isn't great with people, but has all the education in the world. Okay, we can teach people how to lift weights. I cannot teach people how to be nice. Okay, so make sure that you're building your plan around the players. So your playbook is built around the players you have, right? One thing that we used to always talk about, or I used to always emphasize, is, and I see this happening in business and in our charity projects. And this is one of the rules I stick by, is avoid tactical confusion. So I always found that having any more than 4 moving parts to a plan is going to slow us down, right? So has anybody ever heard of the Hicks Law? The Hicks Law is something we talk about with first responders, with military officers, is that the more options, so the taser, the baton, the handcuffs, the gun, the pepper spray, the more things that you have on your gun belt, the slower you are going to be to choose one, right? Because you have so many things to choose. So when you're presented with a stressful situation, you're going to fall back on your training, but your training leads you to, 6 different answers. That's too many. We want to simplify that as much as possible and make it, so that there is less different avenues for you to make decisions, right? We want to simplify the amount of decision. That really goes like, You've even heard Steve Jobs, like how he, wore the same thing to work every day. That's one less decision. So a great way to simplify your day is to make less decisions so that when you have to make decisions, you make better decisions, right? If more than one person is accountable, nobody's accountable. This is a great one. If more than one person is accountable, nobody is accountable. So right now at the Garage Gym, we're about to launch our 6-week transformation. Joe is the leader of that project. Doesn't mean Joe has to do every single piece of work. It doesn't mean that he has to organize everything. It means that he is the one to make sure everything gets done. Joe, how are we coming along? Good. I'm waiting on this and this and this, and we got to complete that, and we're going to be good to go. Now, if I say, hey, Joe, Danny, how's this going on? That's where things get messed up. Put one person. Doesn't mean that you're not giving that person support. It means put one person in charge. Assign a leader to every single moving part. If more than one person is accountable, nobody's accountable. Now, when it comes to leadership and maybe discipline, don't start loud, right? Cops listening, please. That's the worst thing you guys do, man. Like I ever saw in the junior young cops, and I see experienced cops all the time. It's like you walk into a critical situation, everybody in that house is already on a level 10. It's chaos. If you come in at a level 10 and loud, you have nowhere to go from there. You can't just get loud or you're already too loud. You have to actually do the opposite. Come in quiet. Come in calm. When the situation is chaotic, the leader becomes even more calm and surreal and drawn out. You want it to be very, very specific so that people look at you and say, like, why is he so calm and confident right now? Why is she so relaxed? Because when chaos happens, you need to bring that room down. Don't start loud. Start calmly. Look at my eyes. Hey, do you understand what I'm saying to you? Hey, listen, do you understand what I just said to you? Calm down. We've got this. Stay calm, stay cool. That is the ultimate. Okay. Calm leaders are the best leaders. When you get all adrenaline and pumps, everybody will get that way. So when it's time to get loud, like when it's time to like set a PR on the gym floor and I get loud, then people recognize it. I once went to court and I testified, and we're not allowed to speak, right? But with the other officers. And I gave my evidence, and then another guy comes in to give his evidence after me. And they said, well, how did you know? And I had to taser somebody in a room, and I was, fighting with them, a crackhead hitting a closet who had robbed a bunch of banks. So they asked my partner, how did you know if you were in another room that Constable Smith needed help? He said, I heard Constable Smith raise his voice, and he never raises his voice. Now, that's the kind of thing you want. You want so that few times that you do get loud, people recognize it. There's got to be something special happening here that is making him that loud. He's making him speak in that manner, right? It's got to be either that bad or that amazing. That's the only thing that's going to fire him up to that point when it's an actual emergency. And legacy. Legacy is such a huge part of leadership. Legacy is leave it better than you found it, right? And that is kind of what we drill home with every single person that we hire here. We want you to leave it better than when you found it. We just had we had Casey leave in the last year. He left it better than he found it. And we just had Riley leave. And man, she left it better than he found it. And that is exactly, if every single person does that comes and works in this little small business, it's going to be unreal. Now take that onto, something that's more high scale, maybe more high risk, like the SWAT team or, even a university football team, come into that room and leave it better than you found it. Leave that locker room, leave that team, leave a legacy of something that gets said about you that is going to say like, hey, That guy there, he left it better than he found it. That's the most important thing. And at this point, being a father, that's what it's about. Is I am trying to leave a legacy through my children. I want them to be better than I was. And I want to give them those opportunities. I want to give them those lessons and those responsibilities that are going to allow them to do so. Now, what's the burden of leadership? What do you ever ask that of you? And I can tell you this. This has been tested on me during these closures over and over again. And the burden of leadership is to do what is right, no matter what the consequences might have, and no matter what the consequences might be on you, and no matter what you might have to gain, right? So I don't want to worry about punishment, and I don't want to worry about reward. I want to do what is right for my team. What is right for my team and our mission? Because when it comes down to first responders, your mission is to, serve and protect and all those great things, right? I want to do what's right no matter what. Does that mean for you making sure that you're not infringing on the charter? Yeah, there's punishment that comes into that, right? There are consequences that come with those things. Making those decisions based on what you believe is right for your team, your mission. So a lot of, we talk about mission over man. You guys have heard me say mission over man. Mission over man doesn't mean, it means like, it doesn't mean we forget about the person, right? We want it to be about the person always and the mission always. If we can always focus on those things, then yeah, that old mission over man, that old school kind of adage will shine through, right? So how do priorities get reversed? So priorities get reversed through public pressure, through personal aspirations, right? Through ego, relationships, and then of course, administration, right? So administration, some of these different rules are really going to make it hard for you to not succumb to the burden of leadership. Plan for it, plan ahead, know who you're working for, understand public pressure, understand where your ego and your personal aspirations will come in, and those relationships that you have with people. Understand the people on your team that might not be focused, that might not have the same skills or standards that you have, and plan for it ahead of time. So when those tough opportunities come, you're ready to jump and you're ready to bounce on that, right? Obviously, I want to talk fatal flaws of leaders. Fatal flaws of leaders, right? So mine, of course, you've heard me say this before on this podcast, and this very podcast today is indecision is the worst decision. Becoming rattled in battle. That is a huge one, right? When you become all distraught because of things, right? First one to eat and first one to sleep. And I say that metaphorically, it really applied to my old job, but for, when, at home as a family, as a leader, are you the first one to eat? Do you sit down and eat before your family does? Are you the first one to go to sleep, right? You want to be the first boots on ground, the last boots off ground. Anything else is fatal. Anything else is fatal. It doesn't mean, here at the garage and that I have to be the last one at work every day. No, but when things are very important, to the 6-week transformation, some of our seminars or our higher end things, that yeah, I am the first one here. I'm the first person they see when they walk in. I'm the last person they see when they walk out. The old adage of having to stay and be the last guy there every single day, that's not true. Everybody understands that. And if you really put value in their families and their personal lives, they will equally put that in yours. Another fatal flaw is laying blame. It's on you. Remember, this is all on you. Leadership is the problem. Leadership is the solution. Repeat it over and over and over again. Emotional intelligence. A lot of leaders seem to lack this, or so-called leaders. If you don't have emotional intelligence, it's going to be very, very hard for you to lead, right? Read the situation before it happens. Avoiding situations is always avoiding to have conflict is usually going to be at your, to your advantage, so that when you actually do it, if you have conflict all the time, it's almost like decisions all the time. If you can cut out conflict so that when the real conflict, the conflict that is good, that is building, the conflict that's going to actually build some resolve or problem solve, that's the conflict you want to have. Having conflict on the daily because you don't have emotional intelligence, you can't read your room, you don't know your people, that is not going to get you the culture that you want, right? And a huge mistake I made before is not having a succession plan. When I was on SWAT and I found that I was leaving, there was no succession plan to replace me. I just thought I was going to be there forever. Develop your leaders, have a succession plan so that if you can walk away from your business, so that if you need to, if you get ill and needs to be in the hospital or you need to be away for work, that your family can run without you. Make sure you have a succession plan. Make sure you're developing leaders. And it starts with your children, your spouse, everybody. Develop those leaders. Now, when it comes to creating culture, you know what? You want to be the example. Always be the example. The best leaders that I've been around are the ones who always helped with the small things, right? They were the first ones to be out in the truck unloading the gear with the rookies. When I was a rookie, those are the people that you want, right? The burden of leadership is to always do the right thing, be the example, put it on me, beside them in battle, behind them in success, in front of them during failure. Over and over and over, you hear me repeat these same and very important tangents, but keep with it, stick with it. So when it comes to culture, the standards are known from day one. From day one, it goes beyond my staff, right? It goes through every member, much like rank. We place accountability and responsibility on the members. Belief in the mission, members as well, right? We want to have a grueling selection process, which means, do you want to work with them every day, right? Grueling selection process. So I'm going to hire slow and fire fast. And the question that comes out, yeah, does this guy have our values? Does this girl have our values? Yes. Great. Check that box. Is this somebody you want to work with every day? Realize that you will spend more time with the people you work with than you will with your family. So put a lot of emphasis on that. Do you want to work with this person every day? If the answer is no, then they don't become part of this team. And then to kind of just wrap this whole thing up, you need 4 things. If you want to have the kind of kick-ass culture that allows you to run, 5,000 tactical operations and win every single time, and when you lose, to stay together. We didn't win every single time, but when we lost, we stuck together. And the same thing here at the Garage Gym, a culture that has people quitting their jobs to come and work for us, where we probably pay half as much as they made at their old place. Right? You need a few things. You need mission, clarity, and belief and ownership in that mission. You need culture. Culture is, this is how we do it here, which is our values, which is our mission over man attitude, our next person up, right? Next man up. When we lose somebody, we're already have somebody ready to replace them, right? We can't replace the individual who did that role, but we can replace the role with another great individual, right? You want to have number 3, purpose, right? This is your mission statement. Develop a mission statement. Okay. And then the last thing comes back to everything I keep saying. What's the last thing you need? So to have a great culture, to have a high functioning team, you need mission, you need culture, you need purpose, and they need you. If you're listening to this, you are a leader. You want to improve. They need you. Leadership is the problem. Leadership is the solution. And your presence is always your greatest gift to this world, right? You can't get your time back. So who you choose to spend it with, where you choose to spend it, is the greatest thing that you are going to give to anybody in this world. This world needs you. Your team needs you. Your family needs you. Look at it like that. Look at it as if it is a life and death, and they need you by their side. That's all I got to say. I hope you guys enjoyed my first ever solo podcast. Listen, guys, if you're looking to get into some great gear, some great men's gear, the best men's gear I've ever worn by far, the tactical pants are unreal. 10,000 Clothing Company. You can use my code Tango15 there. And then, of course, right before this podcast, I popped my HQ Focus, my nootropics. I love that stuff for my brain power. I also love the EAAs and the protein powder that I get from them. You guys can go to HQ Nutrition, hqnutrition.ca, and you can use my code there, Tango15. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you got some value out of this first ever. And I don't think I'm going to do too many of these, But I hope you enjoyed this one. And remember, leadership is the problem. Leadership is the solution. Now get out there and do more and be more. Thanks for tuning in.
Now's the time to do more and be more.